Hi everyone, GigaBeef here, and today we're going to be talking about pre-firing. This is a relatively advanced tactic that can help you win more PvP, especially at close range and indoors when many players struggle. So stick around and let's get going. So what actually is pre-firing? Well, this is when a player attempts to kill another player by starting to fire as they come around a piece of cover. When this works out properly, it effectively gives your opponent zero time to react, fire back, move, or get out of the way, which is what you want to achieve, an unfair fight where you have the advantage. To get it to work, there are some assumptions made here, primarily being that you know exactly, or pretty much exactly, where your opponent is. This relies on map and area knowledge, as this allows you to know where people can actually be, sound to pinpoint where this person is in this particular situation, and finally aim, where you have obviously got to make sure that you hit your target. There's another element to this of networking and latency as well, which makes pre-firing even stronger, where even on the best connections, you're looking at 30 milliseconds of you sending data to the server then sending that data to your opponent, and so on. As we know, Tarkov's networking isn't always the best, which can make this worse as well, and when you are the victim of a successful pre-fire, you can die sometimes before you even see the enemy appear on your monitor. So basically what we're going to do today is we're going to jump into some clips and just kind of look and see how it plays out and just explain a few concepts so you can see how it works in practice. Now, I'm not going to be pretending to be the best person at this by any means, but I've been actively trying to integrate it into my game, and I feel that if you want to get better at a lot of these things, you have to really deliberately work on them. And so given that I'm in the process of doing that, I thought it'd be interesting for you guys to see my progress basically, and maybe it can help you integrate it into your game as well, rather than just watching people who are already super good at it and do it without thinking. So in this particular clip, we're in factory, we were kind of surrounded, and I could hear somebody who was behind me over through, I think you can see me looking through this doorway now, and I thought that somebody was through there, and so what I was going to do is try to flank round. So this is a situation where I didn't pre-fire, but absolutely could have. Now let's just go and watch the clip through a little bit. I'm going to put the sound back up for this. So here, I see somebody and they're right there, right? And so I was surprised by them and didn't know that they were going to be here, which is completely fine and fair enough. But it's how we act in the next section, which is how most players play the game, and how I usually play the game as well, which is what I'm trying to improve. So here, right, I know where this guy's going to be, and there is actually a distinct possibility that I could have pre-fired him as I came around the little forklift thing, because we know where he's going to be, we know where he's going to be aiming at, and at this stage, if he had kind of predicted where I was going to be, I might well be dead now, because my gun's down, I'm literally mid-sprint, and it's only because he doesn't react that quickly that I actually managed to survive. Then we hear there's somebody else as well, and in the same vein, once I've reloaded here, I probably should pre-fire here too, but again, you'll see, basically, I wait until I see where they are, and then I shoot at them. And so this is a fair fight, which is not really what we want. So it ends up working out, but this definitely can be done better. In this next clip, I'm playing with a friend, and we're in factory, and basically we don't see anybody in the normal forklift area, we've only just spawned in, and so we decide to go down through the tunnels, and we hear somebody, and this again is another perfect opportunity for the pre-fire when I don't actually do it, and you can see how this goes. It ends up working out again. Seems like big squads on the other side of the map. Oh. So as soon as we hear that running down there, this is the perfect opportunity because we know as soon as we clear this corner, there's going to be somebody there. Now, I see them slightly earlier than I would expect, which potentially is the reason why. But given that there's two, there's definitely opportunity for pre-firing here because we basically know where they are, right? There's only the ability for them to be in this little corridor here based on the sound. So we do end up killing both of them, and this does work out, but it definitely could have been better, and I gave them the ability to shoot at me, so I do end up taking some damage to my thorax and to my arm. So if I'd shot beforehand, and before they'd even come around the corner, then potentially I may have mitigated that damage, and one of those shots might actually have killed me. So that's what we're going to look at next, some actual pre-firing situations where it did work. In this next clip, we're on factory. We've just killed somebody using the flashbang to complete the quest with the KS-23 flash round. And this is probably my favourite clip overall in terms of the pre-fire because I kind of actually use all of the things that we talked about before to make it happen. So let's just watch what happens, and I'll skip it forwards a little bit because there's some build-up, but we'll just go through and watch it as is. So I get shot at up here on the bridge. There's a guy right up here, and so when I get shot, I decide to move, flank round, and try to do something different. Ah! Okay, so we tried to heal up a bit. I'm going to skip it forwards. We go down this tunnel on the right-hand side. We can still hear stepping on metal. You can still hear them. So as we move into this tunnel area, I don't know whether it's the same guy or not, but we hear somebody as we move in, and you'll be able to hear this in a second. So So hopefully you could hear that on the right-hand side. So I'm wearing razors, I think, in this clip. I'm actually not sure. I'd need to go back and look. It's either GSSHs or razors. Maybe GSSHs, because I tend to wear them on factory. But there's somebody over here on the right-hand side. And so what I do here is I try to play around this particular area, because now it's all opened out a lot more in the underground. But this section is still kind of the same. So ahead of us, we have this whole long corridor, and we have two entrances, one on the right and one on the right again after that. And this is effectively a square with tunnels around it, which means that you can predict where people are going to be and hear where they are. And so in this situation, I tried to use that to be able to kill the guy. So we know that he's somewhere in this area up here. So what I decided to do is move over to the left and then just chill for a minute and just listen and see what he does. So we know that he's gone down on the left-hand side. Now, because he's running away, hopefully we'll catch him early enough that either he's still looking down the corridor or he's running with his back turned to us. So in this particular situation, this is absolutely perfect for a pre-fire because he can't really be anywhere else. And if he's not there, then the worst case situation is we just miss and nothing really happens. Now, I think I got quite lucky actually killing him there, and he does end up getting one shot off. But he's exactly where we think he's going to be, and he dies. And poor guy's just using a packer. So this next clip is an absolute classic, which is one of the reasons I wanted to include it, and it's one of my absolute favourites. So this is up in the office corridor in factory, which is somewhere where people often find themselves fighting. So I've cleared the corridor, there doesn't seem to be anybody there, and I'm going to move into the office, and effectively we get forced into a situation to use pre-fire in one of the best places that I find it. So we'll go and watch the clip. Basically, I move into the office and go and loot the safe, and there's nobody in here. And then after that, a fight gets forced by the person who we kind of suspected was there in the first place. It looks better.
Come out, you coward!
Yeah, give me a second. Like, we know we're okay because we can hear him on the left-hand side with his footsteps. Now, he forces the fight by throwing that grenade in the first place. So he's in that room next to us, and he grenades up, and you hear him come out because he knows where we're going to be. But the problem is, he doesn't know exactly when I'm going to appear out of the door. That's up to me. So if he's in the corridor waiting for me, this is one reason why holding angles can sometimes be a little dubious. Now, with better aim, he might have died straight away if I'd actually hit the headshot there. But that is one of my favourite situations in factory, because if you hear somebody either walking down that corridor or they're trying to engage you in that corridor and you're in the office room, normally they'll try to push on you. If you've got the door left open especially, you can just step out when you like and pre-fire and kill somebody. Now, one thing that I would like to point out at this stage is the ability to use large magazines. This is one reason why it's really good on the P90. Now, as you get better at pre-firing, you can use smaller mags, 30 rounders or whatever, and it's probably a bit better. But if you're not as good at pre-firing, I would advise starting off with bigger magazines, because this gives you much more leeway to not run out of bullets, because sometimes, and we'll see in a clip later, that occasionally you can run out of rounds if you mistake where they are and you end up just fire hosing the whole corridor, and that can obviously be really, really bad. So using big mags can sometimes be really, really good. In this next clip, we're taking a step away from factory, which is normally where these kind of clips come from for me, because I tend to know that map the best. In terms of CQB, I have the best experience there because I know the map most well. But in this one, we're fighting in customs and we're in gas station, and we've been in an extended fight with two guys who kind of jumped over the wall, and we know that there's another dude who's around on the left-hand side somewhere, but I don't know exactly where.
I'm making some noise out here in the back.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can... So I'm still looking for him. I know that he's behind this truck somewhere, but I just haven't seen him at this point, and so it makes it very hard to approach because I don't want to get insta-pushed on when he knows where I am either. Don't know where he is exactly.
I can hear him moving around though.
And this is the moment of truth. So I do actually see the guy and take some shots off at him, and this makes me a lot more comfortable as to where he is. He's not behind the pipe. He's right up next to the truck, which means that I'm able to run up and actually take some shots with much more precise information than I had before. Hit him once.
Nice. Push it out.
Right, so you can see I actually start to fire before I even see him, or pretty much exactly at the same time. So he's only just come on the screen, like 1 or 2 frames, and I've already started to fire my weapon because he must be in this particular angle somewhere, and using the 50 rounder again with the P90 is perfect. Now, my aim point, because of the slight stepping here and just a little bit of a low barrel, ends up with me not killing this guy, and this is down to point number 3 that we said before. I had the map knowledge, I had the sound, and sight in this case, and then finally I managed to whiff it on aim. Whoa, 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 whoa! And so the problem with that is that I end up with a ton of body shots, but I can do the same thing again. As soon as I've reloaded, I can just pre-fire and finish the fight. Killed him.
Right.
So this fight ended up being super messy, which is a shame, but it still worked and we still managed to win. So in this final clip, again, we're in the office corridor. I'm actually playing as a duo. My friend is inside the office itself, and I'm on the outside by vending stairs, as you can see. So as we open up into this, we're fighting another squad who are at the other end of the corridor. Now here, I really missed a trick because we know that some people are there, and these guys are actually pre-firing quite heavily. So they're doing one of the more advanced tactics where you can pre-fire as you think somebody's going to step out. Now this is something that I've actually not yet managed to do properly because it's a lot harder than knowing where someone is and you're sort of forcing the fight. But if somebody's kind of peeking, leaning, whatever, you can kind of pre-fire 1 or 2 bullets or something if you know exactly where they are at head height and kill them. Fortunately, they don't manage to shoot me in the head in this particular situation, and I'm able to leave. That was them shooting at me. So you can hear there's another shot that comes from them and me. They seem to know kind of where we are and were just shooting at us to either mess us up or trying to actually get a kill as we open up through the doorway as we peek. So that was my friend getting actually killed in the office itself. And basically I sit here and I med for a while and listen to hear what's going on because now I know that it's me versus 2, potentially 3. Killed you?
Yeah, he pre-fired.
Ironic, eh? So at this point, we can hear somebody running around upstairs, and we hear them run along the corridor and down into the bathrooms and come along the back. So it's actually to our advantage to be able to sit and wait because they are looking for us, or looking for me in particular, and they don't know where I am, but I know where they are. And what I'm trying to do is turn my head so I get a better accurate spot on where they are. Now, with that read, I don't know what you thought about those sound cues, but given where the position of their audio sounded to me, it sounded like they were right around the corner. But as you can see, they weren't quite where I thought they were going to be. So I end up emptying an enormous mag, and this is actually one of the reasons why the 50 rounder is so good, because I think I probably waste 20 bullets or something just firing it into nothing before we actually start to connect with the guy. And that guy's wearing level 5 armor, I'm using a P90, and it's just with the sheer number of rounds and the ability for us to start hitting him as soon as we can, he ends up dying even though I'm actually probably less geared than he is. And there's our ultimate end killer. Because rather than staying inside the bathroom, I decided it'd be a good idea to run upstairs to try and get into the office corridor. I probably should have just stayed in here. Oh no! I killed the one guy. I got shot by the second. So that's it for today. I just really wanted to hone down into this one concept that I've been trying to improve in my own games. And I'm a big believer in focusing on one thing at a time. So if you're struggling with close range PvP, go do your usual stuff, but try to work on this one element. Even just put it on a sticky note or something on your monitor or something, because the first step is remembering to try it in the moment. So I don't know whether you guys remember when you first started out and you take grenades, but then forget to use them and just never use them in the raid and die with them. Well, this is exactly the same thing. It's as with most things, you have to remember to do a thing to make sure that you actually get some practice in it, and then slowly build it into muscle memory, and eventually you'll be able to do it automatically without thinking. But you have to deliberately start trying to include it within your gameplay, otherwise you're just never going to remember and you're not actually going to improve. If you learned something or enjoyed today's video and want to support the channel, please as always consider sending a like and a comment, as it helps with visibility for those who haven't found me yet on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter and Twitch to check out when I'm live, which is currently 2 times a week, once on Friday at 9 PM UK time for the real-time recording of the ScavTalk podcast, which you can check out the link to in the description below, and a regular Tarkov stream on Saturday at 2 PM UK time in the afternoon. And with all that said, I'll see you next time, and as always, have fun in your raids.